The brutal truth: not everyone deserves a place in your life. We've all been taught that loyalty is a virtue, that holding on to people no matter what is a sign of strength. But what if I told you that the opposite is true? That sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away? That there are people in your life right now who are holding you back, draining your energy, and keeping you from becoming who you're meant to be. Most people don't want to face this truth because it's painful. They convince themselves to keep waiting, to keep hoping, to keep giving chances that are never appreciated. But here's the reality some people will never change. Some connections were never meant to last. And the longer you hold on, the more you sacrifice your own happiness. The first sign that it's time to give up on someone is simple: if they consistently show you that they do not respect you. Respect is not given through words, it's shown through actions. If someone makes promises but never follows through, if they dismiss your feelings, if they treat you like an option instead of a priority, they do not respect you. And without respect, there is no real connection, only an illusion of one. So why do people stay in these situations? Because they confuse attachment with value. Just because someone has been in your life for years does not mean they deserve to stay.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
Time does not equal worth. If a relationship is built on disrespect, it will never evolve into something healthy. And yet people hold on, hoping that if they just give more, if they just explain better, if they just wait long enough, things will change. But how many times have you been in this cycle? How many times have you excused behavior that hurt you just because you didn't want to lose someone? And here's the deeper question: why are you so afraid of letting go? The second sign that it's time to walk away is when someone drains your energy more than they add to your life. Some people are emotional black holes. No matter how much you give, it's never enough. They take your kindness, your time, your energy, but when you need them, they are nowhere to be found. These relationships are not partnerships. They are transactions where you are the only one giving. And the longer you stay, the more exhausted you become. Have you ever noticed how some people leave you feeling lighter, more motivated, more alive, while others leave you feeling drained, anxious, and empty? Pay attention to that. Energy does not lie. If someone's presence consistently makes your life heavier, it is a sign that they do not belong in your future. And yet we justify it. We tell ourselves that everyone has bad days, that we need to be patient, that maybe they're just going through something. But how long have you been making these excuses? How many times have you sacrificed your own well-being just to keep someone else comfortable? The third sign is when someone does not support your growth. The right people will challenge you, push you, inspire you to become better. The wrong people will mock your dreams, discourage your ambitions, and make you feel guilty for wanting more. These people are dangerous because they disguise their negativity as practicality. They tell you that they're just being realistic, that they don't want you to get hurt, that they're protecting you from failure. But in reality, they are only projecting their own fears onto you. If you allow these people to stay in your life, you will shrink to fit their expectations. You will stop reaching higher, stop believing in yourself, stop taking risks. And one day, you will wake up and realize that you are living a life that was never truly yours. So here's the question, are you holding on to someone who is keeping you small? The silent warning, when holding on hurts more than letting go. People assume that letting go is an act of betrayal, that giving up on someone means failing them. But what if holding on is the real failure? What if staying in a relationship, friendship, or connection that is slowly killing your spirit is the worst kind of self-betrayal? The fourth sign that it's time to give up on someone is when you keep justifying their actions more than they do. Have you ever caught yourself making excuses for someone's behavior, defending them even when their actions are indefensible? Have you ever told yourself that they didn't mean it, that they're just going through something, that deep down they care, even though they never truly show it? This is what happens when loyalty turns into self-deception. It's one thing to forgive people for their flaws, but it's another to blind yourself to the truth. If someone truly values you, they will take responsibility for their actions. They won't leave you to constantly explain away their mistakes, their neglect, their indifference. And yet, so many people stay in these situations because they are afraid of admitting that they made the wrong choice, that they invested in someone who was never going to give them the same energy in return. But refusing to walk away from something broken doesn't fix it. It just prolongs the suffering. And here's the harshest truth: if someone truly wanted to change, they already would have. The fifth and final sign that it's time to let go is when you realize that you are the only one trying. Relationships, whether romantic, platonic, or familial, are meant to be mutual. They are meant to be built on equal effort, on shared commitment, on respect that goes both ways. If you are always the one initiating conversations, making plans, giving second chances, then you are not in a relationship, you are in a one-sided illusion. And the longer you stay, the more you teach this person that it is okay to take you for granted. That no matter how little they give, you will always be there. But what happens when you stop? What happens when you stop reaching out, stop making excuses, stop carrying the weight of the connection alone? The truth is, if someone truly values you, they will notice your absence. And if they don't, then that's the only answer you ever needed. But people don't want that answer. They don't want to face the reality that some connections are meant to end, that some people were only supposed to be temporary lessons, not lifelong commitments. So they stay. They keep trying. They keep hoping that one day things will magically fix themselves. But how much longer are you willing to wait? How many more years of your life are you going to waste trying to force something that was never meant to be? There is no honor in holding on to something that is destroying you. There is no wisdom in staying where you are not valued. And there is no love in a connection that requires you to sacrifice your self-respect. So here is the real question: are you ready to stop waiting for someone to become the person they never will be? The price of holding on: how letting go sets you free. People stay in toxic cycles not because they don't see the truth, but because they are afraid of what happens after. They fear the silence, the absence, the void that is left when someone they've held onto for so long finally disappears from their life. But what if that void is not emptiness? What if it is space for something better, space for peace, space for the version of yourself that you have been neglecting while trying to fix something that was never your responsibility to fix? The reason letting go feels so difficult is because the mind clings to familiarity. Even when something is harmful, even when it drains you, even when it makes you question your own worth, there is a part of you that would rather stay because at least it is known. The unknown, the thought of moving forward without them, feels more terrifying than the suffering you've learned to endure. But how much longer are you willing to let fear dictate your life? How much longer are you going to compromise your happiness for the illusion of stability? The truth is, nothing is stable if it requires you to constantly break yourself just to keep it together. The right people, the ones who truly belong in your life, will not demand that you sacrifice your peace just to earn their presence. They will not make you feel like love is something that needs to be proven through suffering. They will not disappear the moment you stop overextending yourself. And this is why letting go is not a loss, it is a test of who was truly meant to stay. Because the ones who were never real, the ones who only took but never gave, the ones who thrived on your willingness to bend over backward for them, they will vanish as soon as you stop trying. But the ones who truly see you, the ones who value you, the ones who respect your presence in their life, they will remain, not because you begged them to, but because they choose to. And isn't that what you truly deserve? Not someone who stays out of obligation, not someone who only reciprocates when it's convenient, not someone who makes you feel like you are always one mistake away from losing them, but someone who chooses you fully, willingly, effortlessly. Letting go is not about cutting people off in anger. It is about releasing the weight of what no longer serves you. It is about freeing yourself from the exhaustion of trying to convince someone to care. It is about reclaiming all the energy you wasted on people who were never meant to be permanent. And the moment you do, something incredible happens. The weight lifts. The anxiety fades. The clarity arrives. And you realize that you were never losing anything, you were only making space for everything you truly deserved. So here is the final question: are you ready to stop holding on to the past and finally make room for the future you were meant to have? Letting go is terrifying because it forces you to redefine yourself. When you've spent so much time, energy, and emotion on someone, cutting them out feels like cutting away a piece of yourself. And that's the real reason people struggle to walk away. It's not just about losing them. It's about losing the identity you built around them. Who are you when you're no longer the one who waits? Who are you when you're no longer the one who fixes, who forgives, who hopes? Letting go means facing the discomfort of change, and most people would rather suffer in familiarity than risk the unknown. But what they don't realize is that holding on is not preserving something, it's delaying the inevitable. You already know the truth. You already feel the exhaustion, the imbalance, the quiet resentment building inside you every time you give more than you receive. You already know that they are not going to change, that the situation is not going to magically become what you need it to be. So why are you still here? Because a part of you is still clinging to the idea of what they could be. Not who they are, not what they've shown you, but the potential you've created in your mind. And this is the most dangerous kind of attachment, not to a person, but to an illusion. The version of them that exists in your head, the one who finally understands, who finally loves you the way you deserve, who finally puts in the effort. That person does not exist. They never have. And the longer you wait for them to appear, the more time you steal from yourself. Time you could be using to heal, to grow, to find people who do not require you to suffer for their love. But none of that is possible if you keep waiting. Waiting for an apology that will never come. Waiting for effort that will never be made. Waiting for them to wake up one day and realize your worth when they should have seen it from the beginning. And here's the truth: if someone does not recognize your value, it is not your job to convince them. If someone does not appreciate your presence, it is not your duty to prove why they should. Your worth is not something that should have to be explained. Real love, real friendship, real connection, it does not require you to beg. It does not drain you. It does not leave you questioning whether you are enough. The right people will never put you in a position where you have to wonder if they care. And the wrong people will never give you the certainty you need. So why are you still choosing uncertainty? Why are you still giving chances to someone who has already shown you who they are? People don't change unless they want to. And if they haven't changed by now, they never will. Not for you. Not for anyone. And that's not your burden to carry. Your only responsibility is to stop betraying yourself by staying in places where you are not valued. The moment you let go, you will realize something powerful: that you were never afraid of losing them. You were afraid of facing yourself without them. You were afraid of what it meant to start over, to move on, to admit that you deserved better all along. But once you do, once you truly release the weight of waiting, you will see how much lighter life becomes, how much clearer your mind is, how much energy returns to you when you are no longer wasting it on someone who was never meant to stay. And one day you will look back and wonder why you ever fought so hard to hold on to something that was only ever holding you back. Letting go is not just about removing someone from your life. It is about reclaiming yourself. Every time you hold on to someone who no longer deserves a place in your world, you are not just keeping them, you are losing parts of yourself. The energy you waste trying to hold together something that is already broken is energy that could be used to build something new, something real, something that does not require you to constantly prove your worth. But people don't see it this way. They convince themselves that if they just try harder, if they just give a little more, if they just wait a little longer, things will change. And this is the root of suffering, not the loss itself, but the refusal to accept reality. The truth is, no amount of effort can make someone value you if they do not already see your worth. No amount of waiting will turn the wrong person into the right one. And every second you spend trying to force something that is not meant for you is a second you steal from your own happiness. Yet people stay. They stay because they are afraid that without this person, they will be empty. They stay because they believe that walking away means giving up, that it means they failed. But failure is not letting go. Failure is staying when you already know it's over. Failure is sacrificing your own peace for someone who would not do the same for you. And the hardest pill to swallow is this: sometimes the people you want the most are the ones who are hurting you the worst. And the longer you deny it, the deeper the wound becomes. But here's what happens when you finally let go. The silence that once felt terrifying becomes peaceful. The absence that once felt unbearable becomes freeing. The space that once felt empty becomes filled with clarity, with strength, with a sense of self you forgot you had. You realize that you were never afraid of losing them. You were afraid of losing the version of yourself that existed with them. But that version of you was never whole. That version of you was built on compromise, on self-denial, on the constant exhaustion of trying to be enough for someone who never truly saw you. And once they are gone, once the weight of their presence is lifted, you begin to understand something life-changing: you were always enough. You just spent too much time around people who made you feel otherwise. And when you truly understand this, everything shifts. You stop chasing people who are indifferent about you. You stop trying to fix relationships that were never yours to fix. You stop accepting less than what you deserve just because you are afraid of being alone. And that is when the right people start coming into your life. Not because you chased them, not because you begged for their attention, but because you finally made space for them. When you remove the wrong people, you make room for the right ones. When you stop pouring your energy into dead connections, you have more to give to those who truly value you. And when you finally let go of what was never meant to be, you open yourself up to what was waiting for you all along. So the real question is not whether you should let go, it is why you are still holding on. What are you afraid of losing? And is it really worth losing yourself in the process?